All right. Hello, everybody. I am here tonight with someone that I've actually never talked to. I literally just saw him. I literally just saw him post on Twitter like 2 days ago. Actually, Paula Baby sent it to me and said, "Have you seen this guy's Twitter post?" And I was
Shout
like,
out
"Wow."
to Paula, baby.
Yes, shout out to Paula Baby. And so anyway, I have no idea, how this is going to go, but I saw that you have basically you've done is it a video series on Ilma Gore?
Well, I do a
And
podcast, and so I've done like multiple episodes about her as things came out about her. I've done not really a series. I guess it's sort of a saga in a way, but not really I wasn't planning on it.
and what's your name? Is it Podawful? Is that what you go
Well, the
by?
name of the show is Podawful. I'm just Jesse. I'm a guy. I have a
Okay.
real name, like you're Kristen, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so
Gotcha.
yeah, I'm just Jesse, but people call me Pod sometimes because they're weird.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, listen, I'm willing to just give you the floor if you want to tell me what's your beef with Ilma Gore. What did you find out about her? How did you first get onto this topic of Ilma Gore? Why don't you start there?
So let me just say for your audience, I haven't followed this whole Marilyn Manson thing. I'm aware of it. It's been in the news and stuff. And in the back of my head, I was kind of like, yeah, I guess that seems like it's possible. But there's a part I've never been a fan of his music or anything, but I was always kind of a fan of him as a person. So there was a part of me that was like, this doesn't seem right. And unfortunately, there's been so many of these like fake Me Too things that a part of me always kind of thought, there's no way this is real. When I heard Ilma Gore is a part of this, I knew, oh, this shit's not real. There's no way that this is because Ilma Gore, I have known for, I think we're coming on 7 years now. And she is one of the biggest liars and grifters I've ever met. I've been doing my podcast for, I think it'll be 13 years this year. And in all of that time, and I cover a lot of weird internet stuff, bizarre people. In all of that time, I would say she is maybe the sickest when it comes to grifting I've ever dealt with. And I deal with a lot of grifters. I like 7 years ago, she got semi-viral by doing an art project where you could donate $10 to her and she would tattoo your name on her body or a
Yeah.
phrase or like a word or something, right? Like she claims she's an artist, right? But she's that type of artist that is, it's like low effort, low stakes. Like it's the most base kind of stuff. I think she'd gotten a little viral before that for some other stunt, but this was her first big thing. And she had a GoFundMe, which in my opinion, all GoFundMes are always scams. So I knew, like, I was on high alert the second I saw she had a GoFundMe for this. You send $10, she tattoos your name on her body. She calls it the Human Canvas Project. And this is supposed to do something. I don't know. There's some sort of artistic merit behind doing this. She said something like, I want it so when you look at me, you see you or something. I don't know. That was a very bad Australian accent, by the way. My wife is Australian and I mangled that. So I'm like, okay, this sounds crazy. So I covered it on my show as just one of these novelty internet, larks. It was just a funny thing. We just kind of pointed and laughed. We watched her video. It's no big deal. We just made fun of her. She saw me make fun of her. This is like in the days of the internet where if you said something about a guy, they saw it. It's kind of weird. Like that doesn't exist anymore. Everybody's online constantly now. So there's too
Yeah.
much digital noise.
It's
But
all drowned out. Yeah.
exactly. So she saw it. And even like as long as I've done it, even to this day, when somebody sees something I do, I'm like, oh my God, how did you see that? Like I don't even think about it. So I said, okay, how about this? She was like kind of hitting barbs back at me. I said, why don't you come on my show and I'll interview you? So the very next episode, I cover her one day. The next episode, she's on the show. I had
What?
like, oh yeah, I've talked to her.
Is
I've
this
talked to her
like, do
extensively.
you have this online? Like, is this accessible?
So here's the thing. This was on my old YouTube channel, and
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, I was falsely flagged on YouTube, and I
Uh,
lost. I had 10,000 plus subscribers, and I lost my whole YouTube channel. Never saw me. I'm like, I've been around for a long time. And because all of this stuff has been wiped from the internet thanks to YouTube's terrible policies, and it was a false flag situation when it comes to my channel getting taken down. So it particularly
you had
stings
10,000 subscribers and it got taken down.
More. Now, luckily, it's a podcast, so there's an audio element to it. I believe the audio versions for this probably are still out there online somewhere. The video interview with her isn't. So I am now forced to have a paywall thing where you can see these. Because all this just happened, and tomorrow I'm going to do my show on this topic. Awesome. I took all of the Ilma episodes I did and I put them in this paywall thing. It's like Patreon, but I had to build my own. And I make it $1 because I don't want
it. No, I'll pay to watch it.
It's $1. And to be honest, I don't like with the $1 stuff. It's like I don't even care if you like somehow shared it or whatever. It's just if I upload it, I get terminated. Like I cannot put it on YouTube or else I will lose. Like I have another YouTube channel now, and if I were to put up any of my old stuff, they would terminate me immediately.
You don't have to explain it to me. I like it when people donate and pay for my stuff too. I have Patreon content. So tell me though how this went then. So was she coming on to basically challenge the idea that she was a scammer? She was hoping she could argue.
So here's the thing. At first, my angle on it wasn't like, oh, this is a scam exactly. I mean, kind of like in the way that I tend to think, and this is just my opinion, that most like modern art is a scam. Like it's not, you know, I mean, call me old fashioned. I'd prefer to see some dogs playing poker in a painting or something. Like I don't know. I don't need a lady to tattoo anything. But then I thought, well, wouldn't it be funny if we paid her to get something that I put on her body? So now she's like, we've made fun of her and she permanently has the name of my podcast on her or something. So my intention was to bring her on and ask her if we paid like a little more, could we get a little more? Could we maybe get a picture, a website, that sort of thing? Mm-hmm. So I think her intention of coming on was to seem likable. And it worked. She grifted me because she came on. She was affable. I mean, I do not blame. Here's the thing. I think Evan Rachel Wood, and this is my personal opinion after reading the full court doc thing and all that stuff, I kind of think Evan Rachel Wood is in a position where you remember how she didn't actually name Manson at first for like 2 years or something.
Exactly.
I kind of think she's like in over her head at this point, and Ilma is the one dragging her into this. I wonder if I kind of believe she probably got raped by a significant other. I just don't think it's Marilyn Manson. Right. I think Ilma Gore said to her, you know, she's the snake whispering in her ear, like, you know, hey, the most famous guy you dated and the one that seems like he'd probably do something crazy.
Exactly.
You know, which I love, like in the court document and her complaint and stuff. It said like one of the things that she was mad about was that some of the abuse hurled at her was anti-Semitism. Where it's like you dated a guy who's like stage show, he dresses up like Hitler and he collects Nazi memorabilia. You didn't see this coming?
Exactly.
Like, maybe he's joking. Like maybe, I mean, maybe that's not something to joke about, but he also is Marilyn Manson. Like this is a guy who put on fake tits in his like second music video. So anyway, I think she's a little in over her head, and she was like kind of coerced by Ilma into naming Manson. And now she's just got to go with it. Imagine being in that situation where you can never say like, oh, I was lying, because that sounds like the worst thing of all time.
You're in too deep.
You've committed a crime. And I believe that because I've spoken to Ilma Gore and because I know what she's done and how she grifted me. She scammed me and she scammed children's charities, which I'll tell you about in a second. So when I had her on, she's sweet talking me. You watch this interview and I'm like, you know what? You're actually kind of cool and stuff. I'm a smarter, older, wiser gentleman now. And I wouldn't fall for that now. But back then it worked on me. And I think she's cool. And I said, okay, what do we have to pay to get a tattoo on you? So I paid her $110. And I let the listeners of my show pick like some random horrible design to put. We were trying to think like, what's the worst tattoo? and we put so they voted on a fetus floating in a glass of Dr. Pepper. That was their idea. And then underneath that it says also Cox, and then underneath that it says podawful.com. I sent her the 110.
Uh-huh.
She said on the show, she's sweet talking me. She's like, I actually love this tattoo. She's like acting like it's funny and she's in on it. She's on our side. We're buddies. We're supposed to be high-fiving and stuff. I walk away from it going, oh, okay, she's actually cool. You know what? Maybe we were too harsh on her. After 2 years, she never got the tattoo.
Oh my God.
2 years passed. And that means this was viral. She made $18,000 or more off of this stunt. And again, that's $10 a tattoo. So do that math. How many of those people never got their tattoo? She has, to this day, never technically posted any major proof of these tattoos. So I spent 2 years going, Ilma, where's my tattoo? And every once in a while on my show, I'd call her out and be like, this lady scammed me. And so I started, she's an artist. I started calling her Ilma Gore con artist. So I did these 2 episodes on her, Ilma Gore con artist, Ilma Gore con artist 2. Anyway, I'm trying to get her to get this tattoo. I'm trying to get her just to respond to me. At a certain point, maybe like a year and a half in, she just blocks me because she knew she was never going to get that tattoo. And if she's not getting mine, she's not getting hundreds of others, hundreds of them. So tons of people were scammed. I just happened to be scammed out of a little bit more money. And I'm that type of person where I'm never going to let that go. So I kept watching for her. And she's kind of a strange person. I cover a lot of people on my show, and usually they're always up to something. But Ilma's this one who she'll do something, she'll go viral, and then she'll go dark for a long time. And she didn't pop up again really until the Trump stuff started happening, and she started trying to kind of grift off of that. Mm-hmm. And it was around that time that I started to look into it a little bit more. I wanted to know what happened with those tattoos. Where did that money go? Is it in her pocket? I go back. Her GoFundMe is still up at this point. She is still taking money for it. It's not closed. And I look on the page and she's updated it. And I think this is literally in response to my haranguing of her and calling her out. She updated the page to say that from a certain point on, I guess after she reached whatever her goal was, all of the money after that, she claimed, was going to a charity. And the charity was called SPY, Safe Place for Youth. And it's a homeless children's charity. And I think I might be wrong about this. I think it might be like specifically for like LGBT homeless kids or something, or teens. Which is particularly interesting because Ilma is, at the time, I don't know what she identifies as now. She identified as lesbian and gender fluid. And so that seemed like, oh, okay, so this is something that means something to her. Like this is something.
Wheelhouse. Yeah.
Exactly. Like this is something that maybe she's been in that situation. I don't know. So I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. And for a second, it sort of assuaged my feelings on like, well, $110. I mean, it sucks, but hey, if it went to a charity, then no big deal. And I was like, wait a second. Who says it went to that charity? I don't know that. There's no proof of that. So I called them. I called the charity and I spoke to them in email and over the phone. And I said, have you ever even heard of this Ilma Gore woman? They said, yes, she did contact us. I said, what was the arrangement you guys had set up? She says, the woman I spoke to said that she planned to give like whatever amount of money to the charity. I said, it's been 2 years. Have you gotten that money? She said, we've never heard from her again. There has never, and they specifically did not want to publicly. They said I could say this stuff, but they did not want to publicly comment. I invited them to come on the show. They didn't want to publicly comment. They said I believe, I'm probably paraphrasing here, but I believe they said something along the lines of, we've washed our hands of it. Like they're just done. Like they're not expecting it. And these charities, that kind of thing probably happens to
They're
them.
used to it, yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it probably happens to them all the time. So they just gave up on it. They weren't expecting it. But then I hear that and I'm like, this woman's getting this tattoo. Like I can't force her to give this charity money, but she's going to have a fetus floating in Dr. Pepper on her body for the rest of her life if it's the last thing I fucking do.
Not all heroes wear capes. That's for sure.
I should wear a cape though. I do believe this is heroic. So I just made it my mission. And I wasn't always doing shows about her, but in the background, like just in my free time, I'd be messaging her. I would have my listeners just tweet at her, message her, her email, all that stuff. In the meantime, she's getting bigger again. Like she keeps going viral. She goes viral for this stunt where she made a toilet out of Louis Vuitton bags or something, like a gold toilet. It's so stupid. This is what I'm talking about, the modern art thing.
That was part of a scam too, right? Did you hear about the Louis Vuitton scam?
I would love to hear. I think I know what you mean, but I don't know if I know everything. I'd love to hear.
Well, I know she drafted a fake letter that she said she had been sent, some kind of legal document by Louis Vuitton. And she had made it up, right?
I saw that letter and I went, that ain't real. I mean, listen, maybe I got too much skin in the game. Maybe I was personally burned. Maybe I'm too critical, but I can look at an Ilma Gore thing and go immediately, I know if it's real or it's not. And I'll tell you the thing that really made her go viral. She was Jussie Smollett before Jussie Smollett. She posted a picture one day on Facebook. And again, I was Facebook friends with, so I saw this like immediately before it really blew up. She posted this picture one day of her with a black eye or sort of swelling or whatever. And she says, she gives this story. Now, she gives this story that she had just gotten off of a plane. She had just been somewhere else. She's a block away from her house. She's like going back home. And a car with a MAGA guy, like a Trump bro, pulls up to her out of nowhere. And like, she's not famous. It's not like doing it to, like Jussie Smollett, at least it would kind of make sense if you did it to him. He's a famous guy. She ain't famous enough you're going to wreck. She looks like any other hipster walking down the street. So she claims some guy pulls up to her and goes, Trump. And she's like, what? Oh, no. And he's like, and he gets out of his car. So he's driving. This is the story. He's driving along. She's a block away from her house. He gets out of his vehicle, screams Trump at her, which is not a battle cry. I've never seen that in any other scenario.
This is Trump country. Isn't that what Jussie Smollett says?
Exactly. But this happened well before that. He comes up to her and just clocks. So this dude just clocks this little skinny, scrawny woman in the eye, screams Trump, and then runs away. And keep in mind, this happens in the middle of Los Angeles. I mean, what is the likelihood of that? As a town that has never voted red, ever. How likely is that to have actually happened? So again, just like with that fake letter, my bullshit meter just immediately goes through the roof. And I go, no, not real. There's no way. I do a show about it. There's no way it happened. That propels her into a mini internet stardom. And and it's me constantly calling it out. But I use that sort of that time where she's back in the public eye to put the pressure on about this tattoo. So I was calling her out for that. And finally, I honestly don't remember at this point what did it, like what was the final straw, but she got the tattoo. And I made her send me an image of it. And I told her, what's that?
Does she have it to this day, the tattoo?
Oh yeah, she's got it. It's on her. I've got a picture of it.
Where?
I think it's on her leg. I think it ended up on like a
Okay.
calf or maybe her thigh or something. It's a little hard to tell from the photo, but I basically told her to a certain point, like, I'm never going to stop. And technically you frauded me. You've defrauded a children's charity. I could go to the police about this. We could do it that way. Or you could get a ridiculous tattoo on your already ridiculous tattooed body. And she smartly went with the latter after 2 years of trying. So that is just my personal dealings with her and grifting and noticing a pattern of lies and deceit and literal ripping people off. But when I read that document that Manson put out, where when I read some of the crimes that she has allegedly committed against her own family, her own dead mother, her twin sister who says she's afraid of Ilma being around her children and stuff. And again, I knew about that twin. I've seen like that's true. I was just like, oh, this is, yeah, it's vindication. It's like, yes, this is 100% exactly the type of person this is, down to the point where one of like, this is sort of a petty detail, but in a way it's kind of my favorite part, is online. She claims she lives and works and is part of like the Los Angeles art scene. And then in this document, it's like, apparently she lives in Florida. Which is like where Trump lives. So just to me, there's something so funny about that. It's like such a nice little, cherry on top of the whole thing. She had to live in Florida secretly this whole time. But there is a part of me that's like completely weirded out that this woman is now dating the lady from Westworld.
Well, I have to tell you, I've seen the HBO documentary that's coming out in a couple of weeks, and you're gonna really get a kick out of that because Ilma Gore is prime star. It's her and Rachel Wood. It's her and Evan Rachel Wood. So you're gonna have a lot to talk about.
I'm gonna do a viewing, like I will have a viewing party of that. We're gonna do a watch along.
It's a two-part. It's a two-part documentary, and Ilma Gore is the co-star of it with Evan Rachel Wood.
Oh my God, yes. Do you think they're still gonna wait? How did you see it?
So it premiered at Sundance Film Festival, and because of COVID, they did the screenings online. So anybody could buy a ticket. You could have bought a ticket and seen it if you know.
See, I didn't even know about this stuff then.
Well, no, it's going to come, but hey, it's going to be great for you because it's going to come out and it's going to come out the 15th, the first episode on HBO.
Do you think they're still going to put it out after all this?
I mean, they've put out hit pieces before under legal threat, like against Michael Jackson and Woody Allen but this is pretty crazy that this lawsuit comes out with these really damning allegations right before the documentary. So I don't know.
Do you think they like tack on, edit in a little thing about this?
A disclaimer? They should.
They certainly should. Yeah, they certainly should. It's going to look real bad in the documentary when they're like, yeah, the FBI is on this.
Oh my God.
There's Ilma Gore sitting there over her laptop going, hello, I'm an FBI agent. I'm with the FBI. I'm coming to get you, Brian. You know what's so funny, too? I feel so bad for Marilyn Manson because you can tell, especially over the past couple of years, that this is like really... This has hurt him. He absolutely did. Like, assuming this is what his claims are true, and I do assume that, he was severely hurt by this.
Yeah, no, it's been rough, I'm sure. Now you know that Ilma Gore swatted him too. Did you read that part of?
I saw the video because she sent paparazzi to his house to like film him getting swatted by her. That is, but perfect. It is just a part of it where I was like, wait a second, hang on. But poor Marilyn Manson. I mean, the guy's name, his whole image is like, is trying to look, like creepy and mysterious and evil and everything. And so whenever anybody would say, like, it used to be, I don't know. I don't know how old a lady you are, but I'm of a certain age where in school, they'd said Marilyn Manson had some of his ribs removed for a
Yeah,
certain thing.
yeah.
And so if you're Marilyn Manson, though, somebody starts a rumor like that about you, you're supposed to go, yeah, it's true. You're supposed to like let that go, like whatever. And so for years, this like, the Columbine stuff, all that, he addressed that one, obviously, but all these things would be said about him. He drinks blood and stuff, and he's got to go, yeah, I do, because
Right.
he's the Antichrist or whatever.
Right.
He's scary. And then some lady's like, he's got a bad girl room and locks me in it, and he raped me, the worst thing ever. And then he's got to go, actually, my name's Brian. I'm just a guy. I'm just like a normal guy. Like, my neck is fat now. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm just this is a contact lens, by the way. He's like horrifically quickly trying to take out his contacts, going like,
Right.
see, I'm just a man. I'm just
basically like trying to quickly, he has to kind of like unravel an entire image that he spent decades constructing. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm definitely gonna encourage those in our audience who are interested in Ilma Gore and want to see this. I definitely want to see it, just if nothing else for the hell of it. But tell us your website again. Where we go just to get this.
So the show is called Podawful. You can download it like a podcast on any podcast thing, or you can watch it on YouTube. There's a quick link, awful.tube will take you to my YouTube channel, awful.tube. And then if you want to see the bonus stuff that I can't put on YouTube anymore, it's at podawful.pizza. And I go live on Sunday nights on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Awful.tube.
Oh, well, I'll be checking that out. I'll be checking that out from now on. Then I think you're really funny, and if you don't mind, I'd like to have you on again. Maybe we can make this a regular thing where we talk about this case as an unfold.
Oh, sure, yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm gonna go on my show tomorrow night. I'm gonna go over the full doc live and like really go through it, and I'm gonna show clips from the episodes that are no longer up and all that kind of stuff. So all that's going to be on there. You can use whatever you want from that as well. I don't care about people taking stuff like that. Cool.
All right. Well, it was really nice to meet you. And I think I think we've all learned a lot about Ilma Gore.
Maybe more than we ever wanted to know, really.
Oh my gosh. I know Evan Rachel Wood is just regretting the day she ever met that woman.
100%. I don't like to look at her as a victim in all of this, but
I know.
But Evan Rachel Wood, I really do think she was sort of puppet mastered by Ilma Gore and all. And you notice the document is mostly about Ilma. Like, it kind of forgets about Wood about 3 pages in. There's barely any mentions of her. By the end of it, it's like, fuck Ilma Gore, we hate this bitch. Like, let's take her down. And you're like, wait a second, what about the famous lady from the show that I know? You forget?
It is like the puppet master, except as it turns out, not a very bright puppet master.
No, probably not. She probably should have gone with somebody else, maybe somebody with a little bit better PR.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on my show. I definitely want to have you on again. And everybody, have a good day, and we'll catch you later.
Happy to be here. Thank you.